Hi, Moguls. It's Dr. T here, and I'm coming to you with a very important upgrade for you to mogul on up into a higher, more powerful, more influential mogul reality where you have the opportunity to be someone that is more expansive, more capable, and able to build more of a higher level life, someone that can create more of an empire, a dynasty reality, contribute to society, and leave a legacy. So, the focus that we have today is a multi-million dollar upgrade, meaning if you make this upgrade and you allow this to come into your programming, upgrade you into a whole new way of being, you have the potential to be someone that is so much more valuable in the world, providing value in the world, and being someone that makes value, receives value, is part of the circuitry of the value of the world at the top mogul level. This is why it's a multi-million dollar upgrade, and you're invited to it today. So stay tuned. Okay, so what we're talking about today is why it's important for you to choose your higher destiny while you still have time to do it before the changes that are happening in our reality and in our world right now do it for you and ultimately make it so that you have less and less ability to actually decide in the future. Okay, so the focus is about choosing your destiny now rather than waiting, being indecisive, and then sort of like letting destiny just choose it for you rather than you choosing it. Okay, so the focus that we're going to have today is about understanding that what is going on in our world right now is a very big time of transition. Now, I know you can see that. I know that is obvious. I know this is a really intense moment in reality, and you're likely feeling it to a very, very big degree. And it's ultimately very, very important that you actually begin to make decisions about how you are going to expand as a person, about how you're going to navigate, about what you're going to do, and you become someone that chooses your destiny. Okay, so what am I talking about? So, as we move from the industrial revolution that we have been in for many, many generations, and we shift wholeheartedly all the way into at hyperspeed into the new age, the technological revolution, also known as the transformation revolution, meaning that we are both basically upgrading into a highly transformative time full of technology and a highly technological time that will require lots of transformation. The point being that things are changing rapidly. They will continue to do so at hyperspeed. They will expand so profoundly, so exponentially, the way in which reality happens, that it is absolutely essential that you make a decision about which way you're going to go. So, what do I mean by that? Well, because we are heading again into a completely different age, and by 2027, in the beginning of 2027, we will have made the final shift that is part of moving out of the age of the Industrial Revolution, or what's called the Capricorn era. Uh, and in some circles, it's called the era, the right angle cross of planning. That is the era we've been in. Lots of structure, lots of material building, where we have generations and generations of a reference point where we know things are going to go like this, things are going to change at about at this pace, and we've got all these reference points. But we are moving into this era of complete and total transformation, technological revolution that we have never seen before. And this is on par with going into a world where even all of our best predictions, and there are plenty of us visionaries and us projector types, which are the human design types that are meant to help bring everybody through this transition. Even with the best of our conceptualization of what reality will be, we are in the beginning of that era, so we don't have a lot of reference points. We're not going to be navigating with like, well, we used to do it like this, so this is what we can expect. It's not going to be that way anymore. We're going to go to such hyper speed. We're going to go into such exponential reality that we won't have a reference point. The past will, at a certain point, get so far behind us because transformation and the frequency we will be in by the moment that the beginning of 2027 finally this clicks in, it's so transformational, so hyper transformational, so multidimensional, taking us from the 3D reality field we've been in through what we are in right now, which has been 4D for a while, where more and more people are coming to understand and feel greater dimension in reality, and clicking us into the 5D world of 5-dimensional reality. And what that will bring to humanity is, in fact, a massively, majorly multidimensional world of flow, high frequency, and the reality of where things go very quickly. They change rapidly. It's an age of intentionality where people will literally just say, here's the intention, and then there's the reality. Now, the good news is that humans have been doing that for a long time. But the ones who have been the most high frequency have been able to simply be like, here's the intention, and the frequency creates the reality. The ones that have been in the lower frequency, struggling, feeling pain, feeling difficulty, they have been struggling in all this like, no, 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 I don't like this, I don't want this, all this suffering. And then they just, that creates its own kind of backwards intentionality that creates more of the same. So we are going into such a state of hyper creativity, hyper multidimensional, flowing, high frequency reality that intentionality will literally be like, you'll barely have a little thought of it, and it will be made right before your very eyes. You will literally be thinking, this would be really great to have. You will go outside, step outside to do something, and it will be there. This is happening so fast for everybody that has already been embracing this new frequency, this new world, this new age of technology, and the transformational reality that humanity must grasp and completely get on board with, because this is not an option anymore, which is why I'm inviting you all to choose your destiny now. And I mean that because the question is, are you going to get on board just being a massively transformational being that literally allows yourself to be brought into a hyper state of transformational flow, where reality can easily make itself through you and the new reality can be born into this world easier and easier, more creative, more different, more unique than we've ever seen, more innovative, which is how it's going to be for people who are on board and saying, I think I know what this is. I also kind of have no idea. I've never done this before, but I'm going all in. I'm totally committed. I'm willing to make the shift into the new program, and I'm willing to make the upgrade and become a transformative being and go with the flow and become one with it. Or, and this is an important decision and you want to actually make the decision, are you going to be someone that is resistant to it, that gets forced into it, that reality has to like beat you over the head with it? It has to drag you along because it changes so fast that people are so far ahead of you that you're just literally like dragging dead weight and just trying to literally hang on. Like the train has left the station and you're just like barely hanging on with one arm, but you're trying to hang on. Are you going to be someone that goes with this upgrade and chooses the destiny of becoming the most transformational, mogul level, powerfully, positively influential person you can be, upgrading into this amazing frequency? Or are you going to be what'll ultimately sort of end up being people who just get effectively kind of beat up in the process because everything will just seem like it's all going away very, very quickly? Like everything that you know, everything that you've been used to is going to be replaced rapidly. And the more each day, the speed of it is going to get more and more rapid. And we're going to be literally moving into the age of technology, advanced intelligence, intentionality, and the transformational capacity of each person is the only strategy that can possibly allow a mass population of people to transform this quickly, is to be all about transformation and upgrading and going with that flow. Or are you going to be someone who resists, who feels the loss, who feels the grief, who tries to hold on? And this is an actual choice because there will be in this process people who do not take this seriously, do not grasp this transformational priority, who are so fixed and have likely always been resistant to change, versus people who are always growing and upgrading and changing and navigating and learning and embracing that. And people who are not adaptive to change will, for some period of time, likely resist, reject, and then create alternative societies that end up operating more on the fringe, more on their own, trying to hang on, maybe in like a more mass scale type of like Amishness kind of thing, like the Amish people or different tribes like that, in what is being looked at as more of like one group is going more into what becomes more of a utopian reality, one goes more into a dystopian reality, and this bifurcates humanity into two realities where one will never catch up with the other, and where the one that is going faster and faster with the exponential speed that like every time there's an upgrade, now it's so exponential, the next upgrade is even more exponential. That's what it is going to be in the age of transformation, the Aquarian age of literally prosperous, transformational freedom, creativity, innovation, non-convention. We're leaving the conventional, hyper conventional, traditional structures. The paradigm is shifting. The frequency is completely changing, and the frequency always creates the reality. It will be completely a different frequency in humanity as we approach the beginning of 2027, and this is the lead up to it. So the change is literally in progress. Like, the upgrade is occurring, and it gives everybody a little time to adapt to it, and those who adapt get into flow, and you're like, oh my God, I'm in flow. This is amazing because I'm feeling the flow. I'm one with the evolutionary speed and pace of change, and I'm in flow. And then there are the people who are so fast that they're just like, oh my God, will everybody please catch up because this is so annoying. And a lot of people have been that way our whole lives. And we're just like, finally, you're going at the pace of reality that feels like flow to us. And there are people who will be so resistant. They won't decide. They'll just like, see what happens. I'm a deer in the headlights. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm trying to hang on to something that doesn't exist anymore. And they will feel the opposite of flow. They will feel intensity, pain. They will feel the life as they once knew it being dissolved by the frequency, all of this material excess, all of this extra stuff that we've had to do and hold on to and maintain. It's shifting. Everything is going to be about connections, creations, experience, collaborations. It is not going to be about hoarding stuff and managing stuff and having 18 freaking um uh lockers full of stuff that people have to try to manage everything they've been hoarding. People are going to see the benevolence of this upgrade, clearing all of that stuff out of their field, out of their reality. And they're either going to be experiencing it like massive full scale loss, or they're going to go with it and go, this is amazing. I'm going with this flow. I didn't want this crap anymore. This house was too big. This whole thing over here was a pain in my ass. I didn't like doing this anyway. I didn't like this way that we did things anyway. And they're just going to be like, thank God it's all changing. Some people are going to go in the flow, and some people are going to literally struggle. Some people are going to go with being more like a mogul, a powerful, influential leader that says, great, this is what the new reality is bringing. This is what our creator is creating within us, through us. And some people are going to just feel like it's hell on earth and like nothing they've ever felt before, because we've never had this happen. Any of us that are alive right now have never gone through this type of transition from one era to another. We've gone through iterations through generations, but all of us that have been alive now have been in the same era, the Capricorn era, the Industrial Revolution. We've been at the end of it and the beginning of the technological revolution for quite some time, probably as far back as the radio, TV, phone. See, it just started speeding up. That reality will eventually be so normalized that we won't notice the difference, just like happened with the people in the Industrial Revolution. And when we came into the world, we're like, this is how the world is. But there was a group of people that transitioned from the feudal revolution into the Industrial Revolution who did, fortunately for them, it went much more slowly and humanely. But eventually the world was completely different than what their world was. And that has happened throughout humanity. And some people get to be in a world where it's just all the same through the whole time they're alive with slight changes. And some people like us were born to straddle two different realities. One that is the end of the Industrial Revolution, the beginning of the technological revolution. And finally, those of us here now are going to live out the rest of our lives in the Aquarian, highly revolutionarily, rapidly transformationally changing revolution in technology. We will be in a completely different frequency. You will finally come to know what that actually is. Thank God. I've been waiting for that for my whole life. And the world that has been created by primarily the human generator types, the human generators and manifesting generators, will shift and be upgraded to the human projectors being the great visionary leaders and guides that help people navigate through this change, because we're going into the world that we as projectors know and have been living in, even though we've been living inside this reality that the generators have created. We have also been living in a much more multidimensional reality within the three-dimensional reality field. And so we know how to navigate the multidimensional realm. And we're all super excited about it, because this is the time where leadership through higher frequency experiences requires guidance for those that aren't used to it. And you're just used to more of the lower frequency realities where things are more heavy, more material, more structures and all of this containment. And we have to all follow every single thing everyone else does. And this is a completely new world. So it is time for you to decide, what are you going to do? Are you going to absolutely commit to a destiny that involves absolute commitment, and some might even say surrender in a good way, to the transformational process, becoming more someone that flows with the flow of the evolutionary pace that is happening? That's how you get into a flow state. Or are you going to have evolution be going so fast and you're being dragged along and feel like you can't keep up with it? Like you're trying to hold on, you're fixed, you're worried about all the same stuff, and you want everything to be the same as it used to be, and you're trying to grip to that because that's the reality that you know. You got to decide which one you're going to do, because it is a decision and it's better to make one. Some people may decide, there ain't no way I can transform, and I don't want to, and I'm not going to try, and I'm going to go into this altered, reality, like where we hold on to something and, create our own communities. Again, more like maybe like an Amish community with some other, goes by some other name, where you're going to reject and resist what it is that's happening. That is a sovereign choice as well. And it also has unprecedented aspects to it that you'll be required to navigate. There's no shame in that game, and there's no, both things have interesting aspects to them. One thing requires, will allow you to sort of stay in a bubble of a world that you are more familiar with and hold on to it as long as you can, and hope that that will be able to be created, I guess, the way that the Amish people have done it. But that will mean that it will be very difficult to catch up to the other people, maybe people in your life who have decided to embrace the new revolution in reality and go with the pace of evolutionary speed and flow and creativity and innovation that it's bringing us through. That might mean that people who are making the choice to do one and the other are separated, because you cannot be in both worlds. It will not happen. The pace with which humans are going to transform, the reality of the multidimensional world they'll be living in, the rapid transformational capacity that it will take for them will not allow people to do what they've been doing for generations, which is, some people are really fast and they're just like living in this amazing world. And then they go and they talk to somebody in their life that's sort of in this whole other time warp of the past. And they kind of can vacillate between those. A lot of people call that being with their family or talking to their parents or whatever it is, depending on how your parents are. That won't happen anymore. You will be in a different world that is so dramatically multidimensionally different. These worlds will typically not necessarily, they're not necessarily collaborative realities. This will be the biggest gap that likely has ever occurred in the human species, between one aspect of the population and another aspect. Again, we can use the example of the Amish where it's like they're living in this bubble, they created their own world. There is some interaction, but there's not necessarily like a way to relate and say, "Oh, we know what world you're living in." We're in two different worlds. So I invite you all to decide which way you're going and begin to prepare and make plans for that, because game on is right now. If you are going to opt out to the upgrades and the fast evolutionary transformational requirements that will happen for you, I suggest you make a game plan, because either way, the game plan has to be made and how you're going to navigate and survive it and thrive. If you are choosing the destiny of more of that top mogul, powerful, influential leader that aligns with the changes in humanity, the changes on earth, the changes in the frequency, and both leads and guides and adapts and creates and innovates and transforms and is both leader, role model, creator, maker, and all these things, then it's important to make note of that and that you're selecting that. I think it's very important to also take note of it in who in your life is selecting, path A or path B. I know that sounds very binary, but it's just for the sake of simplicity at this point. And where it is binary is this. And it has been this way, but this is the time it'll be the most important and the most noticeable. For people who live in a flow state a lot of the time, as much as they can while dealing with people who don't, the flow state is where you are literally one with the pace of evolution and the upgrades that it is bringing through you and into the world, having you make reality, be reality, make reality, and be one with reality and what it is creating. That is what it is to live in a flow state. That is also what it is to live in a flow state of intentionality, where you're going forward with the flow and you get in alignment with it. And or you're going to live in a different timetable, which a lot of people do. I mean, that's how most of the world is at this point, where there's only a small percentage of the population living in the flow. And then they're the ones introducing all of us to everything that comes through that flow. Evolution gives the flow, it comes through them. And you go, wow, those people are in flow. Look at how great they're having it. Or you're going to be on a different pacing and you're going to have a different experience, because when you're not in a flow state, that's where the suffering is, that's where the discomfort is. And even though that's been normalized, those of us who are more multidimensionally inclined, we live in a flow state as much as possible. We try to stay there and enjoy it. We have done that most of our life, but when we have to interact with all of the things in the world that are so ridiculously cumbersome, burdensome, and slow, and people that are in a time warp very different than what evolution is feeding to us, and the creative forces of the reality of this galaxy, of this multiverse, are giving to us, we have to go in and out of the flow state in order to deal with these things that are created by the previous era. Heavy material, lots of steps, lots of bureaucracy. And then we get to go back into the flow state, which is where technology is trying to have us be, where we just say, here's my intention, the reality comes, and we're just like, magic, amazing, I can create whatever I want. Live in this state that evolution is trying to have us in, bring things through, show a new way of being and a new frequency of freedom and flow. Um, it's an amazing decision to make. It will determine how the rest of your life and the life of your heirs goes. And when you choose, whichever one you choose, just absolutely get a game plan. Be clear with yourself. This is the time to be the most strategic. This is not a time to just see what happens. This is a time for adapting. And if you do choose to fully embrace the transformation that is literally coming in moment by moment, day by day, knowing that in the transformational time that we're in, that it's bringing us to something, so we're going to keep moving through iterations. It'd be like you kind of, instead of moving to where you think you want to live for the rest of your life, you're going to do this, you're going to keep moving into different things where you go, oh, that was the new thing, but it was partly some of the old thing. It was the new thing, partly some of the old thing. Finally, it's like, oh, now I'm doing what Wayne Gretzky says, which is go to where the puck is going to be. Go to where reality is going to be at its highest peak, and be willing to be there. Be willing to be at that level, knowing you're going to seem likely very different to yourself, very different to the people that have been used to you all being sort of in a similar time zone. And know that this is about being willing to be that new higher version of yourself and everything that will be created through you, which is stunning and amazing. It will not be an era where we all belong to the same, like, let's just suffer together, let's just, struggle and trauma bond together and call that a relationship. um it will not be about that, where everyone just conforms and falls in line and you're doing it. Is about every person stepping into their own most powerful individual transformation that will now make a new experience of community, of truly individualistic, unique people who express the creativity that they are and collaborate on such a level that is not requiring conformity or control, but allowing us to be in our most creative level ever, which is what the Aquarian age of transformation is all about. I'm excited for all of you to make these shifts, make the decision. I think it'd be amazing for you to comment, what destiny are you choosing? What role do you want to play in all of this, and how do you want to play it out? Because it's an interesting moment in the experience of being human. Share this with other people so they know what's going on. Let's get this destiny decision on board and start acclimating yourself to whichever way you are going with a strategic plan. That's what moguls do. Thanks for taking this mogul upgrade. Please subscribe to the channel so you can get all of the immersive downloads and upgrades that are absolutely being given to you to make this transition and transformation and upgrade smoother. This is all done for you, so I invite you to receive it, share it with others, and help other people make this transformational time so much easier, and have them make the choices that they're either going to make or are going to be made for them. All right, moguls, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.